Welcome to our program, Natalia Bejan.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
I would like to start with the political situation in Moldova. Firstly, it's a big pleasure to speak with you while you're in Saudi Arabia at World Investment Conference. And I would like to start with Moldova, and Maya Sandu won the presidential election. Also, the citizens of Moldova voted for European integration of Moldova in the European Union. How can you assess current political situation in Moldova and in its influence on the economic cooperation between Moldova and Ukraine?
Well, of course, politics and economy is always very interrelated. For us, especially as a destination for investment attraction, is super important to have continuity and stability when it comes to our leadership's vision. So it is actually a happy moment when we are recognizing the fact that Maya Sandu has been re-elected for her second term in Moldova. And as you have already seen, for the past 4 years of her mandate, the whole country as Moldova, the people, but also the government and the president herself has been very supportive for the situation in Ukraine and for what Ukraine is going through. So I do believe that this is going to also continue in the next 4 years at least.
Do you feel that the support for Ukraine is the same as it was after the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine?
I think this has been transforming in time, that is for sure, because the needs and the situation has been evolving. Right now, for example, us as Invest Moldova agency, we see a bigger need for our involvement in the situation in Ukraine. Just a couple of months ago, we actually signed a memorandum of understanding with Invest Ukraine agency, and the perspective of reconstruction of Ukraine has become a big topic on our table as well. So we do have investors coming from Romania or Germany who are specifically interested in Moldova, not only as Moldova standalone, but as the region of Moldova's relationship and good relationship with Ukraine. So from this perspective, for sure, the relationship has been evolving, and I hope we will be able to be of use to Ukraine and for the strengthening of Ukraine as a country.
Let's cover economic relations and also investitions in Ukraine. Do you feel that there are lots of businessmen, companies in Moldova which are ready to invest in Ukraine in the middle of the war?
Well, I think this is a sensitive, question because obviously every single investor, every single businessman is taking into account risks in the moment when they are making certain investments. But at the same time, we have to also recognize that many of the investors are looking for the opportunities that are arising, not only regardless of the risk, but sometimes the risks of investments are also bringing bigger opportunities for the returns. So even this situation is creating a place for when investors into energy storage, infrastructure, see an opportunity for their involvement, for their business development. So maybe we do not really speak about that as specifically Moldova as an investor per se. I hope in several years we will become a powerhouse, an economic powerhouse that will be speaking more about its own power of investing into Ukraine. Right now, we speak mostly about trade facilitation and also about cooperation when it comes to facilitating foreign investors outside of Moldova and outside of Ukraine to settle in Moldova and be of use for both of our countries, Moldova and Ukraine.
You just mentioned about trade between Moldova and Ukraine. Has this situation changed after the beginning of the full-scale invasion? I mean, import and export between Moldova and Ukraine. Do you see a rise in this issue after the beginning of full-scale invasion, or there are some other changes in this dynamic?
Well, for sure, the dynamic has changed, and for sure, there has been more cooperation between our countries, also because of the support that Moldova could bring to Ukraine for transiting the products and but mostly the products, actually, not that much the services that would have to be exported to European Union countries or to the ports in Moldova or the ports in Romania in order to facilitate the export. So we have seen a huge increase of the transition basically of the exports from Ukraine through Moldova. And also, for sure, we have seen an accelerated use of transportation infrastructure in Moldova by Ukrainian citizens. Here I'm speaking not only about the roads, the trucks that are using the roads in Moldova, but also the international airport in Chisinau, which has seen a tremendous increase in terms of the numbers of passengers, also thanks to the proximity, obviously, of Moldova and Ukraine, but of certain key cities, like, for example, Odessa, that is very close to Chisinau and makes it very easy for people to choose Moldova for travel.
Let's cover also the possibilities for Ukrainian business to invest in Moldova. What are the main perspectives, the main popular and perspective areas of Moldova's economy which could be considered to invest by the Ukrainian businessmen, Ukrainian business, small, medium, and large companies?
I would probably mention 2 or 3 areas. There are many opportunities, but some of them are like strategically important. One of the first ones would have to be IT. We know that Ukraine as such has become a very strong country when it comes to IT companies, IT talents. And in the last 7 or 8 years, since the creation of Moldova IT Park, that is offering the 7% flat tax rate for the IT companies, we have seen an increased interest of companies from around the world of establishing their business in Moldova. So for sure, we have our doors open for the businessmen in Ukraine that want to open an IT or business service in a company in Moldova, because those rates apply as well for business services. So that would be one important sector. Another one is, again, I would go back to infrastructure. Both Moldova and Ukraine have to become more interconnected among them. So here I'm talking not only about the roads, bridges, but also about the railway. So there have to be, and I'm sure that there is going to be major projects in terms of infrastructure. One of them was actually announced not so long ago, and it's about the highway that would connect Iași city in Romania with Chisinau and then with Odessa. And that would become actually the first highway in Moldova, because we don't have one yet, but at the same time, it would be one that would interconnect our countries. And last but not the least important, I would mention energy. Both of our countries have seen certain sensitivities within the last years, and we have realized how important it is to be resilient and how important it is to be sustainable on our own, to use more renewables and to build renewable energy sources for the energy supply, and at the same time to make sure that we are storing it. So those would be areas that for sure are short-term justifiable and needed sectors where both of our countries have to look at and invest their resources.
I would like to have a follow-up question for you just mentioned about the infrastructure projects of Moldovan government and Ukraine. What are the most important plans of the government in Moldova about such projects between Ukraine and Moldova on infrastructure? Could you please provide us some insight into other important projects, even maybe also future one, which would be realized and conducted in the future?
Well, right now, I would be able to speak probably specifically about roads, the highways that I've mentioned, but for sure one highway is not enough, because the border that we have, Moldova, Ukraine, for Ukraine, by the way, the largest outer border that there is specifically with Moldova as a country. So we need to have several points where we can facilitate not only the transfer of people from one country to another, but also facilitate the trade to make it as easy as possible. So besides the road, that would also be the railway. In Moldova, there are significant plans and significant projects of rehabilitation of the railway. For sure, we need the restructuring of the railway as a company as such, but also of the infrastructure. And we, for sure, are not sufficiently connected from this perspective of Ukraine, and we are not utilizing enough the railway as a mean of transportation of goods from between our countries. So I do hope that there are going to be announcements of other projects in between our countries. And also, speaking about the infrastructure, there are logistic ports that are being now in plan for construction in Moldova. Перший dry port is one of them, one of the largest ones that are going to happen within the next years. And this logistic port is again being done not only for Moldova standalone. A logistic port is done for the purpose of ensuring the simplicity and the commodity, accommodating the needs of the transfer and the trades from different countries. And for us in the region, it's about Romania, which is European Union, and is Ukraine, which is another neighbor of us that needs this support as well. So Berest port as a logistic port and infrastructure side of railways and also of the highways would be for sure of the highest priorities in the nearest future.
Both Ukraine and Moldova are on their way to join the European Union. What would it mean for the economic relations between both countries and the possibility of the investment in Moldova and Ukraine and both countries?
Well, you know, even right now, when we are not yet full-fledged European Union member, in the Republic of Moldova, the stock of the foreign direct investments at this moment comes from the European Union in the proportion of 83%. So when we are speaking about integrating ourselves into the European Union market, we have to realize that we are already from the economic perspective pretty aligned and pretty integrated. And not only foreign direct investments, it's also about the trade. Last year in 2023, we had 65% of our exports, Moldovan exports, going to the European Union countries. And it has been increasing year on year because we've had more and more openness from the EU 27 countries when it comes to trade, through the trade agreement facilitation, through increasing the quotas, to accepting certain products that up until now were not accepted on the European market. So we do see real and clear economic perspectives when it comes to EU, but we already materialize very many of them. But at the same time, European Union for us, it's not only about the economic perspective, it's also about the cultural mentality alignment, values alignment. Many of our people in Moldova have done their studies in the European Union, myself included. So I do believe that integration is not only about economy, but it's also about saying that we do believe in the same values that EU has.
But how do you see the main challenges for Ukraine and Moldova on their way to join the European Union? I mean, in the context of, in matter of joining the EU single market?
Well, of course, the big elephant in the room is the war that Ukraine is going through. So we do hope that that will end as soon as possible, because that is not only creating difficulties in the path of joining EU, because the focus is shifting from time to time, but also because we need stronger economies that are focusing on their own internal priorities and strategies. Besides that, and I hope again that will end as soon as possible, of course there are technicalities. Of course there are alignment to the standards and procedures that we have in the European Union. Of course we have to align ourselves to the quality standards that there are in the European Union, but we are already doing that step by step. So at least from the government of the Republic of Moldova, there is a very clear commitment to align all of our laws, regulations, and the way how we are working as agencies, institutions, in order to reach to those standards. But we are on the way. So I do believe that this is going to become a reality within the next years.
As you're the head of the Moldova Invest Agency, what is your message to Ukrainian businessmen who would like to invest in Moldova today or in the nearest future, who would like to strengthen economic cooperation between our two countries?
You know, what I've seen again and again is that every single business and every single investor has to be treated very individually. Not every single market is a good market for absolutely every company. So what I would suggest and what I would invite the entrepreneurs thinking about the market of Moldova or Moldova as a base camp for delivering products and services, maybe for other markets, is to talk to institutions such as ours. So in case of Moldova, it would be Invest Moldova, because we are ready to provide analysis on the market, to provide with information about the talents we have, the salaries or the regions where it is better to settle, recommendations of institutions, of agencies, of associations, business associations, meeting with other companies from the market, because entrepreneurs are such pragmatic well-beings. I do believe that every single time we have to take it one by one, but for sure Moldova is open for business, and we are going to support every single entrepreneur that is well-intentioned about the values of their business, but also about the impact that they can bring to Moldova and a wider region.
What is your plans for the future on how you would try to engage Ukrainian investors in Ukraine? Do you plan to visit our country, or to continue to strengthen these relations between Moldova and Ukrainian businessmen?
Yeah, I was in Ukraine just a couple of months ago, within which we had the meeting with the Invest Ukraine colleagues. Right now, one of the things that we are very actively working on is a project that would be a trilateral project in between Moldova, Ukraine, and Poland. So it is about a cooperation between the investment agencies from those three countries to try to unite their forces and to be useful for a very specific sector. We are trying to focus right now on the energy sector and to see how we can mobilize the international investors that would like to supply our region, so our extended region, and to help us be more resilient, but all together, not any of our countries individually. So that is one of the things that we are currently working on. And honestly, even last week, while I was in Bucharest, in Romania, I met one entrepreneur that has an IT company in Ukraine. He's Ukrainian himself, and he was talking about extending his office in Chisinau as well, and creating an IT company in Moldova to actually grab some talents from our market and supply some jobs for them in Chisinau. So there are different opportunities that we are working on, but I hope that we will also be able to be useful when it comes to a joint cooperation between the investment agencies of these three countries that I mentioned, so Poland, Ukraine, and Moldova.
And how do you see the future of economic cooperation between Ukraine and Moldova, and the future of this cooperation in investitions between both countries, both economic sectors, and both agencies and both businessmen?
You know, Moldova is a way too small country, as many of the countries in the world are, to just fight their fights alone, to just be, separated from the outer world. We have to be open. We have to go for the cooperations. And the best idea probably is to cooperate with your nearest neighbors. So somehow it organically comes that the relationship between Moldova and Ukraine is not only strong right now, but it has to become even stronger in the future. Right now, even as we are here at the World Investment Conference, the reason why we are here with so many other investment promotion agencies with whom maybe somebody can say that we are in some kind of competition directly. But the reality is that we are going to be winners only in the moment when we are cooperating all together, when we are exchanging some of the contacts and maybe offering to some of our investors the possibility to easier extend to other countries, to the nearby countries, to accessing new market, accessing new talents. So from that perspective, I think we will all have to only win if we are going to do this together.
Thank you, Natalia Bejan, for your time, for supporting Ukraine, and for advocating for more economic cooperation between Ukraine and Moldova, as well as for more investitions, both for our two countries, for Moldova and Ukraine, and glory to Ukraine.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you.